I they fear. Today's subject is dealing with an understanding of the reality of the world we live in. And what I would like to do is to explain to you that reality using the Quran and using the Sunnah as a way of understanding true reality. But what we need to do is to now focus on this Ummah at large. Because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said these words in Sahih Al-Bukhari 3339 says, narrated by Abu Sa'id radhiyallahu anhu, that Allah's messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, Noah, Prophet Noah Islam, and his nation will come on the day of resurrection. And the Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, did you convey the message? And he will reply, yes, O my Lord. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Noah's nation, did Noah, Prophet Noah Islam, convey my message to you? They will reply, no. No prophet came to us. Then Allah will ask Noah, who will stand a witness for you? He will reply, Muhammad, Prophet and his followers. So I and my followers will stand as a witness for him. That is of the statement of Allah in Surah 2, verse 143. Thus, we have made you a just and best nation, that you might be witnesses over mankind. Now, my question for you is that we were given an honor of having Prophet Muhammad sallallahu as the last and seal of the prophets. This Ummah has literally a blessing that we have our prophet who is going to be a mercy, who is a mercy for this mankind. And we are supposed to be witnesses for mankind and the prophets sent to them. So if we have this honor, my question to you is, should we not obey Allah and obey the Prophet? Now, I want to ask you as the Ummah today, do you do that? And you would, in reality, have to think back and take a reality check. But I don't need to hear from anybody else except our prophets. What does our beloved prophet have to say about this ummah during this time? Al-Tabrani and Al-Hakim authentic hadith Sahih. It was narrated from Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, radiallahu anhu, narrating from the Messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Among the signs of the approach of the hour, here it is that evil doers will be held in high esteem, and good people will be looked down upon. People will have a lot to say, but not do anything. Now hear these words. The answer to the reality of the Ummah, here is, al-matnat will be read to the people, and no one will object to it. By the way, include your so-called sheikhs, your so-called scholars, and your ignorant leaders. We're not talking about those scholars that follows Quran and Sunnah, those sheikhs that follows Quran and Sunnah. We're talking about the sheikhs. So let's hear what is al-matnat. It was said, what is al-matnat? He, Prophet Muhammad says, what is written other than the book of Allah. Include the news media, include social media, include magazines, include what is being said to you through all the devices and all the books that is not following what Allah says, not following the Quran and Sunnah. So if you hear a sheikh, a scholar, supposed ones, start speaking and tailoring the religion, twisting and turning al-Islam to suit what the news media says, to suit what society says, to suit what is going through social media and magazines. Include these ignorant people. Because our prophet said, Prophet, that people will speak al-matnat and no one will object to it. Any sheikh or scholar that you claim to be one says these words are sheets. Religion and politics are separate. If they say that, then they're sheep. Because you can't show me one verse, one ahadith where our prophet ever say these words. On the contrary, you'll find the complete opposite. Our prophet dealt with battles and treaties and many other situations. Religion and economics is together. So stop taking part of the religion and now ignoring the other part. You pray 5 times a day and do the pillars of Islam. But your true interest is very dangerous upon you. So Islam is a way of life and it's not meant to be isolated. Now, to make things even more clear, I need to read to you what our prophet said, warning about ignorant scholars and ignorant sheikhs. When you see them speaking what the news says, twisting the words and even making lectures using the same words from the news media, you know that they're sheikhs. Whenever they repeat the words and they don't follow what the Quran and Sunnah warn this Ummah about, then you are in a dangerous situation. Now, hear what Prophet said. Musnad Ahmed 140, authentic hadith, Sahih. Omar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, reported that the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad said, verily, among what I fear most for my nation is every hypocrite with a knowledgeable tongue. Now, Musnad Ahmad 21334 or 21335. Authentic hadith, Abu Dhar radiallahu anhu said, I was with Prophet Muhammad one day, and I heard him say, there is something I fear for my ummah, more than that young. It was then that I became afraid. So I said, O Rasulullah, what thing is that? And he said, misguided and astray scholars. Now, another authentic hadith says, Thawban narrated, radiallahu anhu, that the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad said, I only fear for my ummah from misguiding imams. So if you have such a warning against imams and scholars, especially of these times, that loves to use what the media and news says and tailor what has been said, my question for you is, should you not realize that these are the sheep? Now, what is going to happen is that recently there was a situation that happened in Syria. And I'm going to show you how Iblees has easily deceived the Muslim Ummah in a very dangerous and sinister way. Out of the many ways and deception he did, recently one way became exposed. It was the situation in Syria. Now, you may say whatever you want to say about Syria was led by a Shia by the name of Bashar Assad. And I'll make it clear, I don't support a Shia, and I do not support Bashar Assad. But at the same time, in Islam, when you are presented with two evils, you choose the lesser of the two evils. And so now we need to mention about what happened. Recently, there was this group called the HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which was originally, the leader is from ISIS, and it's connected with Al-Qaeda. And this is public information, by the way. Picture this man named Mohammed Julayni. He was an ISIS member in Iraq. And what I have to say is, when you use the term Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, you should change it to Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. Now, this group happened to came about in an attack to overthrow Bashar Assad government. And what the news media did is they started talking, oh, now Syria has been liberated from oppression to justice, from a tyrant to a refugee. And they use these terms through the media. Now the Muslim sheikhs start, including their sheikhs, supposed sheikhs and supposed scholars, they start making lectures and videos saying how this is a tyrant. The same way when the World Economic Forum uses the term Great Reset, then you will hear Muslims say, you need to reset your lifestyle. You need to do this and you need to do that. The sheep like mimickers. And our Prophet warned about doing such things. Now, what they didn't tell you was that when Lebanon was taking about with Israel having a ceasefire, even though you know that is garbage, because Israel would never want a ceasefire. And you don't have to look for it. On the flag of Israel is two blue lines telling you that they want to take all the land in between Euphrates River and the Nile River. So you asking for a ceasefire is just pathetic. Now, after you have a ceasefire, supposed ceasefire, which is continuously violated, soon after you hear the two bridges, or the bridges in Syria, has been destroyed. And those bridges, they claim, was a supply route to Hezbollah from Iran. Very soon after this happened, Israel wanted to do something. So what did they do? They wanted to support a group called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, whose the leader was part of ISIS. Can you imagine that? It's not just Israel. You can have information directly about the CIA and other actors at play. So when you hear these sheikhs, supposed sheikhs and supposed scholar says, this was a day of victory. I said, even though you don't like Bashar Assad, what you did was millions of times worse if you only know what you're dealing with. Because when you did what you did in supporting and calling this a victory, the real victory was the state of Israel. I would like to see Syria be led with Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, with Sunni rule. But don't ever bring a Zionist Sunni puppet and tell me that you prefer a Zionist puppet to this Shia that is there. Whether you say that this Shia had imprisoned so many people, tortured so many people, put so many deaths in graves, and whatever you want to say. Guess what? You think that was bad. Let me tell you what's the difference. When you put this puppet, support this puppet that is there, you now gave Israel the chance to take you over. You became a demilitarized state. Can you imagine that? That right after Bashar Assad fought, Israel took the opportunity to seize so much land. And while they seized land, guess what they did? They started bombing Syria. In a short period of time, there was over 500 missile strikes. And these missile strikes were to destroy the Navy. It was to destroy the Air Force. Right here. IDF, Israeli Defense Force, seized chance for strikes on Iran's nuke sites after knocking out Syria's air defenses. Over 85, now it's over 90% of Assad's regime's anti-aircraft systems destroyed in strikes, giving Israeli jets and drones total air superiority. IDF assesses weapons from Syria could reach Hezbollah. And the funny part is, they didn't give the HTS a chance at picking the weapons. And by the way, this HTS, led by Mohammed Junaidi, is a sort of stooge to Israel. He keeps saying that I don't want to fight Israel. We want to bring things back in a calm state. So now, when people publicly ask, I'm talking about regular news by the way, ask, what are you going to do about Israel continually invading you? You know what they did? They wanted to find a way to dodge. They couldn't answer the question. Because Israel learned for day one, right after the bombing of those bridges, when they gave weapons to this group, that the purpose of this group was to fight Israel's battle. to get a set of supposed Muslims, puppet Sunni rebels, to fight Israel battle, to divide and conquer and take. And Israel knows that you can easily bribe the Muslim based on sectarian division, and at the same time, you will have to justify it. So how do you justify it? Oh, Bashar Assad was a tyrant. Bashar Assad was this, and he committed this crime. Well, guess what? Bashar Assad is like a rat compared to the state of Israel that is a lion. Which one do you want to be attacked from? A rat or a lion? Because you see, when Bashar Assad was in, you still had the place under Islamic rule, whether you recognize them as Muslims or not. You still had land. But tomorrow, Israel will tell you to your face that this is not yours, this is ours. Actually, hear what the Jews have to say about you. Not good Jews, but Zionist Jews, since they control Zionist Israel. Rabbi Yosef Mizrachi, 6 billion Gentiles do not have the right to live according to the Torah. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, as a Jew, I am more powerful than even you, God, creator of the heavens and the earth. Look at the blasphemy. Rabbi, look at the satanic words he said. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, Goyim, meaning non-Jews, were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world. On this earth, they will have no place. Only to serve the Jewish people, the people of Israel. Rebbe Menachem Mendel Jerusalem, a non-Jewish soul comes from 3 satanic spheres, while the Jewish soul stems from holiness. While you see that, the Jews also says that God created them, not the Jews, but Zionist Jews, created them as the only human soul, and that the other humans, supposedly humans, according to them, that is not Jewish, is animal souls. So you can say what you want to say about Bashar Assad, and I don't defend him because he's a Shia, and you may make claims about him doing this crime and that crime. But what I do have to say is, you think that's bad? Tomorrow, it's millions of times worse. Because this time, you may claim to be at least still in your land, and you will say you're oppressed. You will claim to be in prison. Tomorrow, you will be depopulated. You'll be killed in such a brutal way. Stop saying that Islam will be the only religion on earth. Exactly. Islam will be the only religion on earth. That is true. But the Muslims have a way of make-believing. What do I mean? That they will not tell you that before Islam is the only religion on earth, what is the total chaos and disaster that is going to happen. Our prophet got flushed red and said, woe to the Arabs. And they asked, will we be destroyed? And the prophet said, Now, yes, and explain why. But we're going to get into details afterwards. Before Islam is the only religion on earth, why do you not bring the other information from Quran and Sunnah? Why are you sugarcoating and painting a calm picture when the Quran and the Sunnah says these words? The Sunnah says the last of the Islamic cities to be in ruins is Medina. Picture all the Islamic countries and cities will fall. But you don't repeat those words. You just repeat the part that Islam will be the only religion on earth. So now, before I get further to the subject, I want you to recognize, and I will go more in detail after this on the subject on Syria. Recognize that what happened in Syria is only benefits the Zionist state of Israel. You can be cheering that now you have a chance, for Sunni rule, and that some of these people are being liberated. And guess what? The sheikhs will say that this is a day of victory. Tomorrow, a war, and mark my words, that you will be crying. You will be in a very humiliated state. This is not my words. This is the words of our prophets. And he mentioned what is going to happen and exactly where is going to happen to this Ummah. So make no mistake about it. This Ummah, before it's the only religion on earth, will have Deceive from Morocco to Bangladesh, all these Islamic countries fall. From the rubble is where the Mahdi's army is coming from. And now, read this hadith, what it says. Reported by Imam Ahmed and Ibn Hibban and Al-Hakim. Authentic hadith. Muhammad bin Ja'far narrated to us from Abu as-Siddiq al-Najib, from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri that the Prophet Muhammad said, prophesied, the hour will not rise until the earth is filled with tyranny and injustice. Then a man will appear from my progeny and from Ahlul Bayt, my family, who will fill the earth with justice as it was filled with injustice. To show you, before Imam Mahdi comes, it will be corruption and chaos. When the Mahdi comes, is the time when victory and truth prevails. So, stop quoting one thing and bring it together. Because a true sheikh and a true scholar will be one that tells you the whole thing and not part of the thing. Beware of ignorant leaders that's giving verdicts and ignorant scholars. Because our Prophet Muhammad has warned against these people. And by the way, when you look at the news, did you know that William Casey, CIA director, 1981, this was the date, we will know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. It's a lie. Like the war in Iraq, claiming that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and it come out to be a total lie. Now you enter over and over the same thing, and you are still a stooge? How shameful can you be? So, the next thing that needs to be mentioned of is what is going to happen to the Ummah. You see, when you talk to the supposed sheikhs, when you talk to these people, or you give information, and you tell them that what happened in Syria, that you had a Zionist puppet, Sunni rebel puppet, by the name of Mohammed that was given support by Israel to demilitarize Syria, and then when they don't need him, they will easily take over territory, like they're doing as we speak. And Syria is being demilitarized, meaning you're no threat. So now tomorrow, when Israel takes over, you will not have anything to say but be ashamed. You'll be depopulated because you heard for yourself what the Zionist Jews has to say about you. But guess what? The Muslims could not understand what Prophet Yusuf did. He was put in prison. But what happened with Prophet Yusuf? It's mentioned in Al-Quran that prison is more beloved to me than what is invited to me, what they invited me to. He was shown two evils, that he has a chance to commit an evil of pleasure that goes against Allah's law, and it doesn't have hardship to it because it's very quick, versus being in another evil of being in prison. And what did Prophet Yusuf do? He chose the lesser of the two evils. He chose it to please the Lord. Doesn't mean that he liked any of the evil. And now, what you need to understand is when these ignorant leaders speak, they will now say these words. When you talk about Greater Israel Project, oh, the Zionist Jew plan their plan, and the Lord plans his plan. Look how convenient they use this without understanding what Allah said. Indeed, Allah plans his plan. But my question for you is, what if I show you that this is Allah's plan? So you can't blame Israel anymore for your fault. Stop dabbling your mess on others and take responsibility for your action. What happened with Bashar Assad is like a rat compared to the state of Israel, which is like a lion. Tomorrow you're going to be destroyed and conquered. I'm going to show you from the words of our prophet exactly how you will be conquered. But before I do that, I need to show you that it's your fault what happened. This is the words of Allah to our prophet. And the Muslim will say, you need to be loyal to the Muslims. Oh, that this could be a political estimate. That you may say, what you've seen with Israel is a political estimate. and that political estimate can make mistakes. Political assumption can make mistakes. And I tell you, false. This is not an estimate. This is not an assumption. This is prophecy. This is the words of our prophets. So this is not an estimate. This is reality. Don't tell me, oh, you need to be loyal to your Muslim brothers, because our prophet will not be loyal to hypocrites. He tells it straight to their face, and he even got flesh red. So stop cherry picking and put truth to what truth says, and not what you want it to be. Now, let me read to you authentic hadith of why you are the problem. This is authentic hadith from Sahih Muslim 2889. Third radiallahu anhu said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drew the ends of the world near one another for my sake, and I have seen its eastern and western ends. And the dominion of my Ummah will reach those ends which have been drawn near me. And I have been granted the red and white treasure. And I beg my Lord for my Ummah that it should not be destroyed because of famine. Now hear this. Nor be dominated by an enemy who is not amongst them to take their lives and destroy them root and branch. And my Lord said, Muhammad, Prophet, whenever I make a decision, there is none to change it. Hear what Allah says. I grant you for your Ummah that it will not be destroyed by famine. And you will not be dominated, hear this, by an enemy who will not be amongst it and will take their lives and destroy them root and branch, even if all the people from the different parts of the world join hands for this purpose. But it would be from amongst them, your Ummah, that some people would kill the others or imprison the others. I'm going to show you proof again how this will lead to enemies gathering and taking from this Ummah. Now, authentic hadith, Sunnah Ibn Majah, 3952. It was narrated by Thawban, radiallahu anhu, that the messenger of Allah, Prophet said, the earth was brought together for me so I could see the east and west. And I was given two treasures, the yellow or the red and the white, meaning gold and silver. And it was said to me, your dominion will extend as far as been shown to you. And though that's going to happen when, and it mentions when, in other hadiths. But before this happens, there is a big situation that happens where all Islamic cities will fall. But before we get that, let's read the hadiths. As the Lord sponsors for three things, that my nation will not be overwhelmed by famine that will destroy them all, and that they will not be rent by schism, sect, and fight one another. But it was said to me, when I, Allah subhanahu issue my decree, it cannot be revoked. But I will never cause your nation to be overwhelmed by famine that will destroy them all. and I will not gather their enemies against them and destroy them until, hear this, until they annihilate one another and kill one another. Once they start to fight among themselves, that will continue until the day of resurrection. What I fear most for my nation is misguiding leaders. Some tribes among my nation will worship idols, and some tribes among my nation will join the idolaters. Before the hour comes, there will be newly turning at jaws. Great liars, each of them claiming to be a prophet, but a group among my nation will continue to adhere to the truth and be victorious, and those who oppose them will not harm them until the command of Allah comes to pass. So, as you can see, the reason why this Ummah will be destroyed will be because of what? What would cause the enemies to be able to take from you? It is because of you. You divided yourself up, so you're easily conquered. You killed one another, so you're easily conquered. And we can quote many more of the same kinds of hadiths. And I'm just going to quote quickly. Sahih Muslim 2890. I'm just going to read the bottom part because it's a longer hadith. And I beg my Lord that there should be no bloodshed among the people of my Ummah, but He didn't grant it. See? It's because of you that it would happen. So when you blame Israel, the real one you should blame first is yourselves. Indeed, Israel is an enemy, so take it as an enemy, because these are Zionist Jews controlling. Now, take a look at this. This is authentic hadith from Abu Dawood. Narrated right here, Tawbah. The messenger of Allah, Prophet said, the people will soon summon one another to attack you as people when eating and inviting each other to share their dish. Someone will ask, will that be because our small numbers at the time? He replied, no, you will be numerous at the time, but you will be the scum and the rubbish, and like that carried down by a torrent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take, now hear this, when you say that they plan their plan, but Allah plans His plan, I'm going to show you that this is Allah's plan. Read this part of the hadith. And Allah will take fear of you from the breast of your enemy and last innervation in your hearts. Someone asked, what is the plan? Prophet said, love of the world and dislike of death. Prophet Muhammad Sunnah Abu Dawood 4297. The nations are about to call each other and set upon you just as diners set upon food. It was said, will it be because of our small number that day? He said, rather on that day you will be many, but you will be like foam, like the foam on the river. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the fear of you from the hearts of your enemies and will throw when weakness into your hearts, weakness into your hearts, while the enemies have no fear of you. Remember that. Someone was said, O Messenger of Allah, Prophet, what is when? He said, love of the world and hatred for death. Abu Dawood 4297. Graded authentic. So now I'm making it clear that whatever you're seeing happen to the Muslim lands, it's not by accident, it's by divine decree that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had decreed this to happen. There is other hadith that makes mention that people of this ummah will transform into animals. 8% wine, and it will be when they doubt the qadr. So what happens is, when you read the Quran, don't feel that, oh, these different nations of the past were destroyed, and this is some kind of story to enjoy and sit back. No, this is reality. If you follow the same way of what happened to the people of the past during Prophet Noah's time and the other prophets, then expect punishment is going to happen, and it's going to happen in a way that you didn't expect. That similar things of the past will happen. Now, hear this. When I tell you that all the Islamic cities will fall, our Quran says in Surah 17, verse 58, there is not a town or city, but we shall destroy it before the day of judgment, or punish it with a dreadful penalty. That is written in the record. I'm going to show you proof. The majority of the world will be destroyed. At that time, majority of mankind, authentic hadith from Sahih Muslim says, majority of man will be Roman. And the good Romans, by the way, will accept truth, but Western Rome will be the ones attacking you, and at the same time, you will be Madhaba al-Kubra, and it's making mention what happens next. I will show you proof that this Western Rome will be the one from the words of our prophets. So, any sheikh or any scholar, suppose one, that says, oh, you see, they plan their plan, and Allah plans His plan. Tell them that this is Allah's plan. Now, when you tell them that Israel, that is backed with NATO in the West, supporting Israel's cause, the Zionist pyramid system, who created Israel, is now going to invade Syria, Iraq, Egypt, Yemen, and different Muslim countries. And when you show them the Israeli flag and show them the greater Israel project, they would say, look, they plan their plan, Allah plans His plan. And I'm going to show you that this is Allah's plan. From the rubble, after all Muslim countries are in ruins. All Islamic cities are in ruins. Then from the rubble will be where the Mahdi's army comes. So now, these places will be invaded. Authentic hadith. Hear yourself. Sahih Bukhari 1875. I heard Allah's messenger, Prophet Muhammad said, and by the way, it's narrated by Sufyan bin Abu Zuhair radiallahu anhu. Prophet Muhammad said, Yemen will be conquered, and some people will migrate, and will urge their families, and those who will obey them to migrate, although Medina will be better for them if they but knew. There's a reason. Sham will also be conquered, and some people will migrate and will urge their families and those who will obey them to migrate, although Medina will be better. And this deals with a reason I'm going to tell you afterwards. Followers. Iraq will be conquered, and some people will migrate from Medina and will urge their families and those who obey them to migrate, although Medina will be better for them if they but knew. You see? These places is going to be conquered. So when you say fairy tale land, oh, victory has happened, tomorrow look at these same ignorant people start to cry and start to be humiliated. Because our prophet said it will be conquered. And by the way, it mentions who is behind it. So now, I will now have to show you more hadiths. Sunnah Abi Dawud 3035. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Prophet said, Iraq will be prevented its measure, kafiz and dirham. Syria will prevent its measure, money and dinar. Egypt will prevent its measure, and irdab and dinar. Then you will return to the position where you started. Zuhair said this 3 times. The flesh and blood of Abu Hurairah witness it. Anytime a currency of a nation falls, very soon you will see that nation falls. History has a way of repeating itself. Sahih Muslim 3035. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reports that Prophet said, and it is the exact same hadith, Iraq would withhold its dirhams and kafiz. Syria withholds its mud and dinar. Egypt withholds irdab and dinar. And you will recoil to the position from where you started. And you will recoil to that position from where you started. And you will recoil to that position from where you started. the flesh and blood of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu would bear testimony to it. What does that mean? Meaning that in the past, our Prophet made mention that you would conquer Egypt. Now Egypt is under Muslim rule. Whether you call it now ruled by people who are not good. But guess what? This hadith will now tell you, you will recoil to a position from where you started. Meaning you will lose Egypt. It will be conquered. Sham. Actually, the hadith makes mention, not Syria, Sham. Because if you read it in Arabic, it makes mention of Sham. And I'm going to tell you about Sham in a little bit. So when you say these words, be careful. Because Egypt is going to be conquered. Iraq is going to be conquered. Sham, which is known as Greater Syria. Greater Syria includes Palestine, includes also Lebanon, Jordan, and other territories. So realize that what is happening has been decreed to happen. The last of these was Sahih Muslim 2896. Now Sahih Muslim 1388 says, Sufyan bin Abdul Zuhair radiallahu anhu reports Allah's Messenger as saying, Sham would be conquered. And some people will go out of Medina along with their families, driving their camels, even though Medina is better. Yemen will be conquered, and some people will go out of Medina along with their families, driving their camels, and Medina is better for them, if they were to know. Then Iraq will be conquered, and some people will go out of it along with their families, driving their camels, and Medina is better for them if they were to know. Sahih Muslim 1388. Now, who is behind it? I'm going to show you in authentic hadith who would be behind it. So Israel and the West is purposely attacking and invading your territory as we speak. Tomorrow you will be conquered. This has to happen before Islam is the only religion on earth. That corruption will be at an all-time high before the Mahdi. Then peace will happen when he comes. Sahih Muslim 2913. Abu Nadra radiallahu anhu reported. Here it is. We were in the company of Jabir bin Abdullah, that he said it may happen that the people of Iraq may not send their kafis and dirhams. We said, who will be responsible for it? He said, the non-Arabs will be prevented. And now look who is mentioned as the person, not as the person, but as the ones doing it. He again said, there is the possibility that the people of Sham may not send their dinars and goods. We said, who will be responsible for it? He said, this prevention will be made by the Romans. But we're dealing with the Western Rome. And I'm going to show you proof how this is Western Rome, not Eastern Rome. He, Jabir bin Abdullah, kept quiet for a while and then reported Allah's messenger, Prophet said, there will be a caliph in the last of my ummah who would freely give handfuls of wealth to the people without counting it. I said to Abu Nadra and Abu al-Ala, do you mean Omar bin Abdul Aziz? They said no, it would be the Imam Mahdi. See? So it mentions to you who is responsible for it. And by the way, Eastern Rome will be ready to accept Jesus when Jesus comes back. But the West will be the one wanting power. And it's made mention what's going to happen next. That it will get so bad that all Islamic cities will fall. Abu Dawood said, well, let me put it this way. Ibn Omar, this is reported in Sunnah Abu Dawood 4299, that Ibn Omar reports that the Messenger of Allah, Prophet said, here it is, the Muslims will soon be besieged up to Medina, so that their distant frontier outpost will be Salam. See that? That's an authentic hadith. That you will be besieged. And by the way, besiege means to surround a place with armed forces in order to capture it or forces it to surrender. Lay siege to it. So that their most distant frontier outpost will be As-Salam. So when you say make-believe land, I want you to recognize that what's about to happen is going to give you such a hard hit that all of you cheering about Bashar Assad, oh, victory happened that day because the people got liberated from the prison, tomorrow you'll be crying. Why? Because your land will be conquered and you'll be depopulated. Our prophet said that a time is coming when every Arab household will be tried with a fitna that tries every Arab household. And by the way, when I'm talking about my Arab brothers and sisters and kids, that's my brothers in Islam, let's not forget Hind, places like Pakistan and other places like Bangladesh and India and stuff. This is destroyed. Make that clear. It is destroyed. All the Islamic cities will be in ruins. And the last of the Islamic cities will be Medina. So, what needs to be mentioned now is that when you see all of the signs taking place, you should now question yourself, why is the Muslim countries in the state it's in? It's because of you. You are the cause that make it happen. Because enemies around the world will not be able to destroy the Ummah. Only when you divide yourself based on sectarian division will you give them the chance to be able to easily conquer you. Now, I need to mention some more information about Medina. It's mentioned about Medina that a time is coming when people will leave Medina. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that the Prophet said, they will leave Medina in the best shape it was ever in, and no one will enter it except Al-Awafi. Al-Awafi means birds and wild animals. Now, let us mention this. Authentic hadith. Baz ibn Hakim narrated from his father that his grandfather said, I said, Messenger of the Lord, where do you instruct me to go? He said, there. And he pointed towards Sham. You remember that hadith saying that, oh, Medina will be better than this place and that place? Guess what? Our Prophet said in this authentic hadith, where do you instruct me to go? He said, there, and pointed to Sham. Before the hour begins, most of the believers will migrate to it, and there will not be any of them left, but he will go and live in Sham. Hear that? There will not be a believer left except that they will be in Sham. So now, you see, when people leave for a dunya matter, that's a problem. When people do things for a worldly reason, then that is not the focus of why you created. You are created to worship Allah. Because Surah Zariyat makes mention about the Allah that not created jinn or man except that they should worship me. But remember, when Medina is the last of the Islamic cities to be in collapse and ruins, and then from there will be where the next stage happens. What is the next stage? Is a time when a group from Medina will be also fighting in the conquest of Constantinople. Because this is a time when the West will say, let us relieve you of the Arabs. Why will they say that? It's because the countries will be in a conquered state. And the last of the cities will be Medina. And Medina has been said as a furnace that takes out impurity. Hear this. Mishkat al-Masabi, Hadith 2751, Trinity transmitted it, saying this is a Hassan tradition. Hassan Garib. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh reported, the Lord's Messenger has said, the last of the towns of Islam to become a ruin will be Medina. You see, Medina is the last of the Islamic cities to be in ruins. You will recoil back to a place you started. Why is this important? And why did the other hadith point into Medina? And then the hadith made mention that there will not be a believer except they are in Sham. To show you that there is a major significance to Sham. Medina, Mecca is the place where our prophet was born, but the body of our prophet is in Medina. Our Prophet Son, he was the one that the last revelation was sent. And he is the Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the last unseal of the prophets. So when you see that this is going to happen, and you hear in authentic hadith that you will be besieged from all over until it reaches Medina, then you know something big is happening. Now what you see right now is not bad yet. You are going to be so depopulated and so killed that you will be crying. Because before Imam Mahdi comes, corruption has to happen first. Now, let us bring you to another hadith. Narrated by Mu'adh ibn Jabal, radiallahu anhu. The Prophet said, the flourishing state of Jerusalem will be when Yathrib is in ruins. When Yathrib is in ruins, that's when Jerusalem will truly be flourishing. Let that sink in. The state of Israel, supported by the West, will be flourishing when Medina is in ruins. The ruined state of Yathrib will be when Malama, the great war, Al-Kubra, comes. The outbreak of the great war will be at the conquest of Constantinople. And the conquest of Constantinople will be when Dajjal comes forth, to show you that the time between the Constantinople and Dajjal is a very short period of time. He, Prophet said, not said, but struck his thigh or his shoulder with his hand and said, this is as true as you are here or as you are sitting. See? So what you are seeing right now is not by accident. When Ibn Umar reported that the Prophet said, that the Muslims will soon be besieged of the Medina so that their distant frontier outpost will be Salah, you know that this will start. You will recoil to a place you started. And that's why authentic hadith brings attention over and over to Medina. So I'm asking you, when our Prophet said these words, why do you want to toss it aside? Prophet said, and Sahih Bukhari 1871, narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Lord's Messenger said, Prophet, I was ordered to migrate to a town which will swallow, conquer other towns, and is called Yathrib, and that is Medina. It turns out that bad persons, as a furnace removes the impurities of iron, that Medina will be a place where impurities will be removed. That is why you will see it continuously mentions about an army coming from Medina that will fight the West. Eastern Rome will be ready to accept truth, and I'm going to give you proof on that afterwards. But let us now continue how bad things have to get. Hear these words. I showed you Iraq. I showed you Yemen. I showed you Egypt. I showed you Sham. Where? Sham itself is a place made mention about being blessed. And Sham will be conquered. Sham includes Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and other parts, Jordan, and other territories. So now, you are seeing what's happening to Masjid al-Aqsa. And it's narrated by Abu Dhar. Authentic hadith from Al-Hakim, 4/509. Hadith number 2902. We were discussing when we were with the Messenger of Allah, Prophet, which is better, the Masjid of the Prophet or Bayt al-Maqdis. And the Messenger of Allah, Prophet, said, one prayer in my masjid is better than 4 prayers offered there. And what a good place of prayer it is. Soon, hear these words. There will come a time when if a man has a piece of land the size of a horse's rope from which he can see Bayt al-Maqdis, that will be better for him than the whole world. If you have to have a piece of land to just see Masjid al-Aqsa, then you can imagine how much conquering would happen. Because if it is in control in your hands, you can easily go back and forth to Masjid al-Aqsa. But the good part is, authentic hadith make mention that Masjid al-Aqsa is one of the 4 masjids protected from Dajjal. So it's not going to be destroyed by Dajjal. Now, let us continue. I made mention about Sham. I made mention about Iraq. I made mention about Egypt. I made mention about Yemen. Now it is time to show you Arabia. Zainab bin Jaysh, the wife of our Prophet's son, reported that one day Allah's messenger came out in a state of excitement with his face quite red, and he was saying, there is no God but Allah, subhanahu. There is a destruction in store for Arabia because of the turmoil which is near. At the hand, the barrier of Yajuj and Majuj has been opened like this. And he made a ring with the help of his thumb and forefinger. I said, Allah's messenger, would we be destroyed? Hear this. Despite the fact that there would be pious people amongst us. You know, whenever the Muslims does something and the Ummah becomes corrupt, even the good has to suffer. And it's sad to see that the Ummah is led. And name me one Muslim leader that is not a puppet to Israel and not following the Zionists instead of Allah's law. Show me one Islamic country that is truly following Allah's law. So hear what the Prophet said. Would we be destroyed? He said, yes, when evil will be predominant. Sharik radiallahu anh reports, I heard Allah's messenger, Prophet Moses said, the people would run away from the Dajjal, seeking shelter in the mountains. She said, where will the Arabs be then in that day? He said, they would be small in number. So Saudi Arabia in store is destruction. First of these, Sahih Muslim 2880. The other hadith was Sahih Muslim 2945. The next hadith is Jamia Trinity 3930 says, narrated by Sharik radiallahu anhu, the Prophet said, the people will flee from Dajjal such that they will go to the mountains. Sharik said, O Messenger of Allah, Prophet, where will the Arabs be that day? He said, they will be few. That's Jamia Trinity 3930, authentic. Mishka Kat al-Masabi says this. Sharik radiallahu anh reported Allah's messenger as saying, people will flee from Dajjal till they get to the mountains. She asked, where will the Arabs be in that day? He replied, they will be few. The Roman, now hear this, you hear the authentic hadith from Sahih Muslim, makes mention that the Romans will be in the majority. The Arabs will be few in number. Good Romans will accept truths. The Western Rome will fight for power and they will be defeated in the conquest of Constantinople and then the city of Rome. I'm going to show you proof that these set of Romans are coming from the west and not the east. I'm going to show you direction also. It was narrated that Zainab bin Jaish radiallahu anh said, the messenger of Allah, Prophet woke up with a red in the face and said, La ilaha illallah. Woe to the Arabs for an evil that has drawn nigh. Today a hole has been opened in the barrier of Yajuj and Majuj, and he gestured to indicate the size of the hole. I said, O Messenger of Allah, will we be destroyed when there are righteous people amongst us? He said, if sin and evil deeds increase. This was Sunnah Ibn Majah 3953. Authentic hadith. Sahih Bukhari says a similar thing in 7059. And Sahih Bukhari says another similar hadith in 3346. Now, Jamia Trinity 2187 says a similar hadith again. So now, you see, Abu Dhar radiallahu anhu reported that the messenger of Allah, Prophet said, to show you proof that it was prophecy about Egypt being conquered in the past, that the Muslims will conquer it. You will soon conquer a land where the people deal with Qur'an. And according to another version, the messenger of the Lord, Prophet said, you will soon conquer Egypt, where Al-Qur'an is frequently mentioned. So when you conquer it, treat its inhabitants well, for there lies upon you the responsibility because of blood ties or relationship with them. Riyadh al-Salihin 328. Now, you hear that hadith, but have something to say. The Prophet said that at this time, at the end of times, Egypt will be conquered, Yemen will be conquered, Iraq will be conquered, Sham will be conquered, Arabia will be destroyed, all the cities of Islam will be destroyed, Hind will have to be at the same time destroyed. And there will be also a battle for Hind, but then our Prophet said, there will not be a believer on this earth except there is Sham. So majority of the world will be destroyed, majority will be Roman. The good Romans will accept al-Islam. I will show you proof to that. While the Western run, some of them will accept truth, but then the people will turn against them. That's a long list. But guess what happens? They will be brought down and defeat the West when they are defeated in the conquest of Constantinople, because they will conquer Constantinople first, and then the Muslims will have to liberate and be the conquerors of Constantinople. Then you will be the conquerors of Western Rome, city of Rome. It literally mentioned which city. I'm going to give you directions later after this. Now, after seeing all of this information that I mentioned to you about the Muslim countries, why do you, the Muslims, like to play fairy tale land and say, oh, nothing is going to happen, that, oh, this is just happening for this period of time and it's done. That is a political assumption, that is this, that is that. No, prophecy says this is going to happen. And in order to be a Muslim, you have to follow what our Prophet said. So now, what is needed to do is recognize that these Muslim countries will have to collapse. And whenever you are presented with two evils, always choose the lesser of the two. Never choose the greater of the two. I don't like Bashar al-Assad because of many reasons, but at the same time, I would rather have the lesser evil in rather than the greater evil, which is the Zionist state of Israel. Does that mean that you like evil? The answer is no. It doesn't mean you like evil. What you should have done was, since Iran and since the Shia claims to be wanting to attack Israel, whether you say it's not real or it's not with substance. They are shooting some missiles, but Iran and the Shia have an objective. And the Shia has very strange beliefs. We're not talking about Zionist Shias, that is more closer to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But when you look at those in power, whether you're talking about Rafida or others, they have the belief of the hidden Imam. That when the hidden Imam comes, they will have to kill the Sunni and convert the world to Shia. But they still call you a human. These Zionist Jews cause you that you don't have the right to live, that you're an animal. And that when we control this land, it is going to rule away from Islamic rule. It's going to be our Zionist regime rule supported with the West. So my question for you is, why would you take the greater of the two evils instead of the lesser of the two evils? Do not ever tell me, but at least he's a Sunni, the one that overtakes. He is a Zionist Sunni puppet of Israel. Israel purposely gave them weapons to do Israel's job, because Israel, the CIA, and Mossad knows the moment they're not supplied with weapons, we easily can invade. And are they not invading as we speak? Isn't it true that our prophet said, you will be destroyed because you fight because of sect? Islam, our prophet said, whether you recognize that sect as a Muslim or not, but our prophet said there will be 73 sects of Islam, all in hell for one. We, as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, follow the truth. But does that mean now that we go and side with Zionist Israel? Or are we supposed to choose the lesser of the two evil? You should have built true Sunni leadership quietly, Sunni army quietly, and when you're ready, and when they finish their tug of war between Shia and Zionists, even though there is information connected about Shia and the Jews, you should let them deal with themselves. And when the right time comes, bring a Sunni leadership that is not a stooge of Israel. The moment you bring a Sunni Zionist puppet, you are now ashamed to your own selves for supporting him. Because Israel now has free access to destroy you with the West in a very brutal way, before Islam prevails on earth. Now, since that point I made clear about the Muslim Ummah will have to have division, and through sectarian division will enemies be able to gather upon this Ummah and take from it. And I made mention the authentic hadith, and I quoted to you that before the Mahdi comes will be corruption, and when the Mahdi comes, there will be peace. Now, I quoted to you that all the Islamic cities will have to fall, and that Medina will be the last to fall, because when Medina is in ruins, will be at the time of Mahdi al-Kubra. And Mahdi al-Kubra is at the time of Fatul Qatsaniya, and Fatul Qatsaniya is at the time of Dajjal. So let that sink into your heads. So now, what we need to focus on is Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. Since we talk about all the different corruptions, and the subject is much more deep, that has to happen to the Muslim Ummah, before Islam is the only religion on earth. And since I made mention to you what is going to happen to Medina itself, what we need to do is quote to you what our Prophet said further about Medina. Authentic hadith recorded in Malik, in Al-Muwatta, recorded by Malik. And the hadith appears in Bukhari and Muslim. This is what it says. Medina is going to be abandoned when it is in its best shape it has ever been, until a dog or a wolf will come in and urinate on one of the pillars of the mosque or the minbar. And they asked Prophet, to whom will the crops belong at that time? He said to Al-Awafi, the birds and the wild animals. But when Bukhari and Muslim mentioned it mentioned it without mentioning the dog or wolf part. The mention of the dog is munkar, odd. Now, let's read about Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. You see, all of this time there is going to be corruption going on. And Jabir bin Abdullah reported that I heard the messenger of the Lord, Prophet said, a section of my people will not cease fighting for truth and will prevail to the day of resurrection. He said, Jesus, the son of Mary, will then descend, and the commander will invite him to come and lead them in prayer. But he would say, no, some amongst you are commanders over some amongst you. This is the honor from Allah for this Ummah. Sahih Muslim 156. Now, you say, in authentic hadith in Sahih Bukhari, 3448, Allah's messenger, Prophet said, by him in whose hands is my soul, surely Jesus, the son of Mary, will soon descend amongst you and will judge mankind justly. It didn't say justice Ummah. It said he will judge mankind justly. He will break the cross and kill the pigs, and there will be no Jizya. Money will be in abundance so that nobody will accept it. And a single prostration to Allah subhanahu will be better than the whole world and whatever is in it. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu added, if you wish, you can recite. Well, he's actually added this. The verses 204, verse 1 to 9. And there is none of the people of the scripture, but must believe in him before his death. Believe in Jesus before his death. And on the day of judgment, he will be a witness against them. You know what's important about this hadith? It says that he will break the cross and kill the pigs and abolish the Jizya. If he only came to this Ummah, then what would be the need of breaking the cross? He came for his nation, and his nation will come to the truth in this Ummah. And Surah 3, verse 55, makes mention that Prophet Jesus, when he was raised and Allah cleared him from those who disbelieved, that those who follow Jesus from since then will be raised over those who disbelieve him to the day of resurrection. Then to me is your return, because one of the signs of the day of judgment, major sign, is Prophet Jesus descending. Why will he abolish the Jizya? Because we do not pay Jizya. We pay zakah, charity. The Christian and the Jews, the people of the book, pays the Jizya. But if they are coming to our Ummah, then Prophet Jesus will abolish the Jizya. And kill the pig means that there is some of the people of the book that eat pig. When Jesus comes back, there's some that doesn't, by the way. When Jesus comes back, the belief in not eating pig will come, meaning that they will not eat pig. We, the Muslims, don't eat pig. Now, we need to do justice to truth. We need to quote what the Lord says and what our prophet says. Stop quoting only one thing about Islam prevailing as the only religion, and quote the truth that majority of the world will perish. All the Islamic cities will be in ruins. And when Jesus comes back is the time, and Jesus comes back when the Mahdi is here. When Jesus comes back, that is the time when there will be no religion except Islam. Here is proof. This is narrated by Abu Hurairah, radiallahu anhu, Sunnah Abu Dawood 4324. Listen very carefully. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, radiallahu anhu, that Prophet Muhammad said, "There is no prophet between me and him, that is Jesus, Prophet Isa alayhi salam. He will descend to earth. When you see him, recognize him as a medium-height man, reddish hair, and wearing two light yellow garments, looking as if drops were falling from his head. Through it will not be wet. No, it will not be wet. He will fight the people for the cause of Islam." And hear these words. He will break the cross, he will kill the swine, he will abolish the Jizya, and Allah will perish all religions except Islam. He will destroy the Antichrist and will live on earth for 40 years. And then he will die, and the Muslims will pray over him. Now, the question is, where will Jesus descend, Prophet Isa alayhi salam? In Jamia Trinity 2244, Mujammi bin Jariya al-Ansari, radiallahu anhu, said, "I heard the messenger of Allah, Prophet say, Isa bin Maryam will kill Dajjal at the gate of Lud. Now, before I show you where he will descend, I need to read some other stuff first. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu said, the Messenger of Allah, Prophet said, there will be no land which will be trampled by Dajjal, but Mecca and Medina, and there will be no passage leading to them which will not be guarded by angels arranged in rows. Dajjal will appear in a barren place adjacent to Al-Medina, and the city will be shaken 3 times, and Allah will expel from it every disbeliever and hypocrite. And I will read to you that the last of the Islamic towns to be in ruin is Medina. Now, what I need to read is these words. Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu reported that the messenger of Allah, Prophet said, Dajjal will appear in my Ummah, and he will stay in the world for 40. I do not know whether this will be 40 days, 40 months, or 40 years. Allah will then send Isa, Jesus, son of Mary, and Isa will pursue him and slaughter him. Then people will survive for 7 years after the demise of Isa, in the state that there will be no rancor between 2 persons. Then Allah will send a cool breeze from the side of Sham. None will remain upon the face of the earth, having the smallest particle of good or faith in him, but he will die, so much so that even if someone amongst you will enter the innermost part of a mountain, this breeze will reach that place, also will cause him to die. Only the wicked people will survive, and they will be as fast as birds to commit evil and ferocious to one another as wild beasts. And obviously, Iblees is going to get people back into disbelieving and trying to do idol worship. Now here it is. They will never appreciate the good nor condemn evil. The shaitan, Satan, will come to them in the garb of a man and will say, will you not obey me? They will say, what do you order us to do? He will command them to worship idols. They will have abundance of sustenance and will lead comfortable lives. Then the trumpet will be blown. Everyone hearing it will turn his neck towards it and will raise it. The first one to hear the trumpet will be a man who will be busy repairing the basin for his camels. He will become unconscious, and the Lord will send or will cause to send rain, which will be like dew, and they will grow out of it like wild root their bodies of people. It's like vegetation growing quick. Then the second trumpet will be blown, and they will stand up and begin to look around. Then it will be said, O people, go to your Lord. Then there will be a command, make them stand there. After it, they will be called to account. Then it will be said, separate from them the share of the fire, and you will be asked how much. It will be said, 999 out of every 1,000. That will be the day which will make children hoary-headed men because of its terror, and that will be the day when the shin will become uncovered. Reference is Riyadh al-Salihin 1810, and it's in Muslim. So I hope you can now say that what you are seeing right now with the Muslims, it's already been decreed step by step. The reason why I'm reading these hadiths to you is to recognize what happens next, not what is fairy tales by these ignorant scholars and ignorant sheikhs. But what does our prophet say? Because Prophet Muhammad said, Sunnah ibn Majah, Hadith 52, narrated by Abdullah ibn Amr bin As. The Messenger of Allah, Prophet said, Allah will not take away knowledge by removing it from people, from their hearts. Rather, He will take away knowledge by taking away the scholars, the true scholars, not these fake scholars. Then when there are no scholars left, the people will take ignorance as their leaders. They will be asked questions, hear this! They will be asked questions, and they will issue verdicts without knowledge. Thus, they will go astray and lead others astray. Now, in Al-Muwatta, Hadith 1661, Sahih, Hadith authentic, Malik reported that the Messenger of Allah, Prophet said, I have left you with two matters which will never lead you astray, as long as you hold to them, the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His prophets. By the way, Anas radiallahu anhu narrated that the Messenger of Allah, Prophet used to say, O Allah, grant me benefit in what you taught me, and teach me useful knowledge, and provide me with knowledge that will benefit me. Related in An-Nasi and Al-Hakim. So beware of people that claims to be scholars but gets their information from the news. Every time they quote to you what's happening in the Ummah today, they don't know anything what's happening in the Ummah because they read Al-Madnat. They want to listen to the news, but they don't want to read what the Prophet had to say completely about the Ummah. They want to cherry pick. They want to isolate ahadith and verses to give you a dreamland, because for a long time they have been in dreamland. Now is the time for them to wake up, and whether they want it or not, they're going to see it in a very harsh way. Let me read to you another hadith about the Ummah before we get on to Prophet Jesus and the Muhammad and connected with Medina. The hadith that says the heartland of the believers is Sham was narrated by Imam Ahmed and classified Sahih by Albani 1935. It was narrated that Ibn Hawala radiallahu anhu said, the messenger of Allah, Prophet said, this matter will end with you becoming mass troops in Sham, troops in Yemen, and troops in Iraq. Ibn Hawala said, choose for me, O Messenger of Allah, if I should live to see that. He said, you should go to Sham, for it is Allah's chosen land, to which he has gathered his chosen slaves. But if you refuse, then go to Yemen and draw water from your ponds. For Allah has promised me that he will take care of Sham and his people. Now, since I read that hadith to you, let's now draw some attention to some important information dealing with the conquest of Constantinople and dealing with Medina and the situations that the Muslims would have to be in. Because this is not what anybody says other than what Allah says. So you have nowhere to run and you have nowhere to hide. You remember the hadith that says, the ruining of Medina will be when Jerusalem is flourishing. You remember that hadith? And it leads to the Mulama. And the Mulama will be at the conquest of Constantinople. So Medina, Mulama, conquest of Constantinople. And the conquest of Constantinople will be at the time when Dajjal comes out. Now, let us read to you some authentic hadiths. This is from Sahih Muslim 2897. The last hour, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, the Lord's messenger said, the last hour would not come until the Romans would land a map or endemic. And when it's talking about Romans, we talk about Western Rome. Make mention a dot on your maps about Dabiq, Syria, or Al-Amak. Now, an army consisting of the best soldiers of the people of the earth at that time will come from Medina. You see, you'll be at ruins. And so now there will be best soldiers who would want to fight will be coming from Medina. Because at the time of Medina's ruining will be Mulam al-Kubra, and Mulam al-Kubra will be at the conquest of Constantinople. When they will arrange themselves in ranks, the Romans, the Western Rome will say, Do not stand between us and those Muslims who took prisoners from amongst us. Those who took prisoners from amongst us. Let us fight with them. And they hear this. And the Muslim will say, nay, by Allah, we would never get a sign from you and from our brethren that you may fight them. They will fight, and a third of the army would run away from Allah, and Allah will never forgive. A third which would constitute of excellent martyrs in Allah's eye would be killed, and the third who would never be put to trial would win, and they would be the conquerors of Constantinople. Because Constantinople, if you look, is conquered by the West. And so now it makes mention that you will be the conquerors of Constantinople. Constantinople today is in Muslims' hand. Tomorrow is a different story. Because there's a lance between the Zionist Jews and the West. That's why when the Jerusalem is flourishing, where Israel is, wanting to now rule, that is the time when the Mahdi al-Kubra happens, and it will happen at the conquest of Constantinople. Here I showed you the conquest of Constantinople. What would happen after this, as the Hadith says, and as they would be busy in distributing the spoils of war among themselves, after hanging their swords by the olive trees, Satan would cry, the Dajjal has taken your places among your family. They would then come out, but it would be of no avail. And when they come to Syria, he would come out while they be still preparing themselves for battle, drawing up the ranks. When the enemy, hear this, certainly the time of prayer shall come. Around the time of Fajr is when it happens. And then Jesus, the son of Mary, will descend and would lead them. This is the Masjid of Damascus with the white minarets. Hadiths make mention, other hadiths, that he will come down at the white minaret in the Masjid of Damascus on the wing of two angels. When the enemy of Allah see him, it would disappear just as salt dissolves in water. And if Jesus were not to confront them at all, even then it would dissolve completely. But Allah killed them by his hand, and he showed them their blood on his lance. Remember, none of these in Sahih Bukhari 3176 says, a truce, I'm just cutting into these because of time. Then a truce between you and Bani al-Asfar, the Romans, not the Eastern Rome or Western Rome, who will betray you and attack you under 8 flags. Under each flag will be 12,000 soldiers. But before this happens, there will be an affliction which no Arab house will escape. So I hope you are starting to connect some dots to see that what you are seeing today is not happening by accident. That the Malhama al-Kubra and the conquest of Constantinople is a very deep subject to speak about. Now, another thing I have to make mention of is Dhu Mikbar radiallahu anhu says, I heard the messenger of Allah, Prophet said, you will make a secure peace with the Romans, Western Rome, then you and they will fight an enemy behind you. And you will be victorious and take booty and be safe. You will then return and alight in a meadow with mounds, and one of the Christians will raise the cross and say, the cross has conquered. One of the Muslims will become angry and smash it, and the Romans of the West, of course, will act treacherously and prepare for battle. Now, connect this hadith with the next hadith. Yusayr bin Jabir radiallahu anhu reports Prophet Muhammad saying, once there blew a red storm in Kufa, that there came a people who had nothing to say but these words. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the last hour has come. He, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, was sitting, reclining against something, and he said, the last hour will not come until shares of inheritance are not distributed, and there is no rejoicing over spoils of war. Then he started pointing towards Syria with the gesture of his hand like this. The enemy shall muster strength against the Muslims, and the Muslims will muster strength against them. I said, you mean Rome? He said, yes, there would be a terrible fight, and the Muslims will prepare a detachment which would not return but victorious. They will fight until night will intervene them. Both the sides will return without being victorious, and both will be wiped out. The Muslims will again prepare a detachment for fighting until death, so that they may not return but victorious. When it will be the fourth day, a detachment out of the remnant of the Muslims will be prepared, and Allah will decree that the enemy should be rooted, and they would fight such a fight, the like of which would not be seen. So much so that even if a bird was to pass their flanks, it would fall down dead before reaching the end of them. There will be such a large-scale massacre that when counting would be done, 1 out of every 100 men related to one another would be found alive. Picture 99 is dead out of 100 of the people fighting. So what can be joy at the spoils of war, and what inheritance will be divided? They will be in the state that they would hear of a calamity more horrible than this, and a cry would reach them. The Dajjal has taken your place among your offspring. They would therefore throw away what would be in their hands and go forward, sending 10 horsemen as a scouting party. Allah's messenger, Prophet said, I know the names and the names of their forefathers and the colors of their horse, the color of their horses. They will be the best horsemen on the surface of the earth on that day, amongst the best horsemen, or amongst the best horsemen on the surface of the earth on that day. Sahih Muslim 2899. So remember, you make a truce, you will fight an enemy that is behind you. Authentic hadith says that while the Western Rome ranks in Dabiq, Syria, it makes mention about the ranking of the Muslim and Buddha. This is after you fight an enemy behind you. And then when you come back, you will be in a plain field. And from there will be certain things that happens. So now, the thing that needs to be said is this. There is other hadith that makes mention that after you and the West made a truce fighting an enemy, and obviously the enemy is an enemy to both al-Islam, the Muslims, and the Christians. Guess what? Because the West will be the ones saying that the cross has overcome, and from there, the Muslim will get angry. And then from there will be a killing that happens in the plain field. And from that moment, the West will say, let us to each other, let us relieve you of the Arabs. Why do they say that? Let us relieve you of the Arabs, meaning that these lands will be conquered so badly. And so when the West ranks up, where will they rank up at? They are going to rank up where the Prophet said they're going to rank up at. And that is Dabiq, Syria. So my question for you is, if you have this information, why do you not connect what you have? Because Prophet Mohammed said that the flourishing state of Jerusalem will be when Yathrib is in ruins. Yathrib is in ruins. The ruined state of Yathrib will be when the great war comes. The outbreak of the great war will be at the conquest of Constantinople. I want you to digest it. I'm reading it one by one. The conquest of Constantinople will be when? When Dajjal comes. So, when you see things are being set where the Muslim countries are being invaded, you should not ask why. Because it has been decreed to happen, and it's just going to get worse and worse until Jesus comes back. Now my question for you is, where will Jesus be coming back at? Jesus is coming back in a masjid. It's called the Ummah Masjid. This masjid has a white minaret. And the white minaret is where Jesus is coming back. The name of that minaret is the minaret of Jesus. So now, if you know that now that Jesus is coming back at the white minaret in the masjid of Damascus, what you need to do is now start connecting more dots. And the dots that you need to connect is map out the locations. You will make a truce with the Western Road. Then you will fight an enemy behind you. And you will be victorious and take booty and be safe. You will then return and alight in a meadow with mounds, and one of the Christians will raise the cross and say, the cross has conquered. One of the Muslims will get angry and smash it. And then the Romans the Western Rome will be vicious, will act treacherously and prepare for battle. Authentic hadith from Sunnah Abu Dawood 4292. Everything that I'm saying, as you can see, is quoted. So this is not my words. These are the words of our prophet. Here it is. Prophet Muhammad said, if the people of Sham becomes corrupt, there is no goodness in you. But a group of my Ummah will still be supported and will not be harmed by those who desert them until the hour begins. Sahih Hadith. Another Sahih Hadith from Abu Dawood is this one.